Greetings today. We continue our study in Revelation 16. We'll look at verses 3 through 7 today and consider the second and third of the bowl judgments. Revelation 16:3 says, "And the second angel poured out his vial upon the sea, and it became as the blood of a dead man, and every living soul died in the sea. And the third angel poured out his vial upon the rivers and fountains of water, and they became blood. And I heard the angel of the waters say, Thou art righteous, O Lord, which art and wast and shalt be, because thou hast judged. For they have shed the blood of saints and of prophets, and thou hast given them blood to drink, for they are worthy. And I heard another out of the altar say, Even so, Lord God Almighty, true and righteous are thy judgments." The events which are described in Revelation 16 occur in a relatively short period of time. Again, the grammatical construction of this chapter demands that we understand that these seven judgments will fall in rapid succession. These seven vial judgments are the seventh trumpet, the third and final woe. They're to fill up the wrath of God upon the earth and finish the mystery of God. So collectively, again, these seven vials are considered one final act as God brings judgment upon his enemies and the enemies of his people. These events have been long prophesied and anticipated, and now they're being executed because God says the iniquity of the earth is full. So without further delay, God says the time has come to destroy them which destroy the earth by thrusting in his sharp sickle and gathering the cluster of the vines of the earth, for her grapes are fully ripe. Therefore the wrath of God begins to be measured out upon the inhabitants of the earth. Remember, the specific instructions are, go your ways and pour out the vials of the wrath of God upon the earth. And it applies to all seven messengers who were commissioned at the same time. So each messenger in turn, and when instructed, specifically obeys these instructions. So let's look at the execution of the second vial. Again, we'll look at its cause and effect. The literal in verse 3, the cause says, "And the second messenger, he poured out his particular bowl upon the sea." The effect is also given. "And it became blood just as of a dead man, and every soul of a life in the sea, it died." The implications in verse 3, we have previously mentioned that this is not a new thing. Such a thing has been done before, but not on this grand of a scale. Let's go back and read in the book of Exodus chapter 7, beginning at verse 17. "Thus saith the Lord, in this thou shalt know that I am the Lord. Behold, I will smite with the rod that is in thy hand upon the waters which are in the river, and they shall be turned to blood. And the fish that is in the river shall die, and the river shall stink, and the Egyptians loathe to drink of the water of the river. And the Lord spake unto Moses, Say unto Aaron, Take thy rod and stretch forth out thine hand upon the waters of Egypt, and upon their streams, and upon their rivers, and upon their ponds, and upon all the pools of water, that they may become blood, and that there may be blood throughout all the land of Egypt, both in vessels of wood and in vessels of stone. And Moses and Aaron did so as the Lord commanded. And he lifted up the rod and smote the waters that were in the river, in the sight of Pharaoh, and in the sight of his servants, and all the waters that were in the rivers turned to blood. And the fish that was in the river died, and the river stank, and the Egyptians could not drink of the water of the river, and there was blood throughout all the land of Egypt. And the magicians of Egypt did so with their enchantments. And Pharaoh's heart was hardened, neither did he hearken unto them as the Lord had said. And Pharaoh turned and went into his house, neither did he set his heart to this also. And all the Egyptians digged round about the river for water to drink, for they could not drink of the water of the river. Historically referring to this, Psalm 105:29 says, He turned their waters into blood and slew their fish.